Welcome back, viewers, to perhaps the most exciting part traditionally of our show, and that is when we have a special guest. And Norm, today we have a very special guest. We're doing a season preview, and what better than to have Dan Armstrong from the Brockville Braves.
Hi Dan, welcome to the show.
Norm, how's it going?
Don't know too much about your background, but understand you're beyond the bench.
Might be on the bench a little bit this year, we'll see. Mostly head scout is the traditional job I've had with the Braves the past 2 years, and maybe help out a little bit more, assistant GM type role, and we'll see how that goes.
Well, that's super. Can you tell us a little bit about your history then?
I grew up in Montreal and started playing hockey down there. And when we moved back to this area where I was born, I played for Prescott most of my life. It was before AA or AAA hockey was around, and eventually I played some Junior A and Junior B, and headed off to school at Lakehead and played for Lakehead University for 4 years.
Oh, up in Thunder Bay.
Thunder Bay, great hockey town.
Thunder Bay.
Just super, Dan, and of course this isn't your first delving into the CCHL. You've had experience in our league.
Yeah, I've worked 4 or 5 years with Peter Goulet and the Nepean Raiders as a scout and an advisor, and that was a great experience. And I obviously came there with Pete from Kingston and the OJ, and I had worked there 2-3 years as a scout as well.
So lots of good Junior A experience.
Lots of Junior A experience. I've watched lots of Junior A hockey, Junior B, Junior C, midget AAA, midget AA, right down now that we draft them as young as Major Bantam.
What we're emphasizing in this show is a little bit of a preview for the Braves. Can you give our viewers plus Norm and I, any insight to some of the guys that may or may not be on the Braves roster? And I think as a head scout, you might have the inside scoop on these guys.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to be a young, exciting team to watch, and with Dustin behind the bench, he definitely wants to be an aggressive team and competitive. So we're heading in the right direction. It's been a lot of work this summer, and that's all good, right? It makes it better. One of the players that I'm interested in is Henry Johnson. He's quite a good goalie we found down at the Chowder Cup, but Henry had written to us before that, and we went and watched him play down there, and we liked what we saw, and we think he has a lot of potential.
What's your background in playing, Dan?
I've played net all my life.
We got another goaltender here.
Yeah.
Another goalie. Lots of goalies on staff, that's for sure. It's,
That's what I meant.
Dustin, Dan, Devin.
Yeah.
It seems like we're swamped there.
You can only use one at a time, you know.
It'd be great if you could put 2 or 3 in there and jam her up. But
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, before that Chowder Cup experience, Dustin emailed me and said that he and you were going down there, and I think you were looking for a goaltender, a defenseman, and a forward. Did I presume then that Henry was the goalie?
Henry was the goalie. We were open to anyone, but he had contacted us, and so we watched him, and Dustin really liked what he saw, and we think Henry has good potential for a young goalie, and it should be a good year.
Where is Henry from?
Henry is from Minnesota, but he played AAA Major Midget for the Cleveland Barons last year.
Okay. We've had a few people from Cleveland up here with.
Yes, we certainly have.
Goaltenders.
A few goalies.
Yes, we have. Yeah. Anybody else that you feel a special affinity with or for as a result of scouting or recruiting that you think may be on the roster?
Definitely Cameron Crotty. I was eventually the head coach of the Cyclones minor midgets last year, AAA, and Cameron Crotty was my draft pick, and he was also my top defenseman last year. Great kid, our captain, and he went 7th round of the Peterborough Petes, and he's just left Braves camp to go to Peterborough's camp today, and he'll be back in a couple days. So it'd be a good experience for him for a young 16-year-old defenseman.
Oh, that's great. Anybody else that is in your string of horses?
My string of horses includes Eric Faith and Declan Hilton, along with our scouting staff and our administrative staff. We've protected and drafted well, so we have lots of young, exciting players who are going to do really well. Declan is a power forward who can play almost any type of game, and he's really interesting to watch, and I guess Sudbury agreed. They took him in the 10th round. And he was on that powerhouse 67s team at the AAA level, minor midget, that did so well.
I saw your April camp, and again a week ago I saw the current camp, and I came away thinking they're a little larger this year. I seem to think that I see size out there and a little bit of speed.
We've got about the same speed, and we are a little bit bigger. We will be younger, and I think that makes it exciting to watch. A player who's surprised in the exhibition season so far is Eric Faith. He's been great, and he's off to Oshawa Generals camp as a free agent, and he was a top 5 scorer in the major midget AAA last year, and I think he'll bring a lot of excitement to Brockville.
I think there was one other guy you were chomping at the bit to tell us about. Anything you can share on him?
Sam Jones, D-man.
That's the man. Yeah.
That kid is a brick on the back end there, and he's out of Buffalo, out of Nichols Prep School, and that's his hometown. And he's a solid 190 pounds, and he moves pretty well. Good heads-up defenseman, and he's the typical Brockville Braves defenseman, a puck mover, and going to get that puck deep for us and hopefully contribute really well this year.
I was impressed with a youngster by the name of Ryder, but I didn't see him at the last camp.
I believe he is hooked up with another team.
Oh, is that right? So he didn't sign here?
No.
Oh, all right. Okay, he's a big boy,
Yeah.
knows where the net is, and goes right to it.
Well, let's Norm and I want to thank you, Dan, for giving up this nice sunny day. I know you're almost getting ready to go back to work, as if this summer hasn't been work for you doing all the hockey stuff. But back to the one that pays the real money.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you personally for coming here and giving us some insights as to some of the players and the makeup of the Braves this year. Norm?
Thanks, Dan. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you over the season.
All right, guys, great. Thanks for having me on, and it's been great.
Thanks, Dan.